Welcome back to Spoiler Free Wrestling, everyone. And Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows have both been the subject of some unconfirmed rumors as of late. Now, the WWE contracts for both Anderson and Gallows are believed to expire in September this year. And recently it was reported by PW Insider that Anderson and Gallows had turned down multi-million-dollar deals from WWE, with the belief that All Elite Wrestling intends to stock their roster with tag teams. This news led to speculation that the club could be on their way out of WWE and on their way to AEW. Not long after the report about them having turned down a multi-million-dollar offer from WWE broke, Karl Anderson, however, went to Twitter and sent out the following tweet with the hashtag "Don't believe everything you read," and has likely indicated that these rumors are not completely accurate. And there has been some sketchiness in terms of reports in 2019 of wrestlers requesting their release. Now, several WWE superstars have announced publicly on social media that they requested their release. Two examples of this are Ty Dillinger and Hideo Itami, both who were granted their releases from the company. Others, however, have had to publicly state that reports about them having requested their release are not true. Maria Kanellis has publicly stated that reports stating that she requested her release are inaccurate. And from the Revival, Dash Wilder recently told media in the UK that reports of their asking for their release from WWE were lost in translation. So there is some reason to be skeptical at the moment anytime you hear a report of a wrestler having asked for their release. We don't know who the anonymous source is leaking this information in many cases. So we don't know if something has got lost in translation, if there has been a game of broken telephone. For instance, in the case of Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson, there had been reports earlier that they had requested to go back down to NXT and wrestle some matches. Then weeks later, there was a report that they had requested their release. So we don't know exactly what details have gotten lost in translation or what details regarding Anderson and Gallows turning down multi-million-dollar deals from WWE. We don't know all that got lost in those reports. Now, in the Wrestling Observer newsletter this week, Dave Meltzer also wrote on the situation with Anderson and Gallows. And he writes as though he was talking to Anderson and Gallows directly, which likely leads me to believe he either was doing that or we'll hear from Anderson and Gallows shortly that this report is also not accurate. So Meltzer wrote, "There are a lot of factors in play, but what I can say is that they have not decided what their next move is at this point. They could stay, they could go. Many have not signed because they are waiting to see the lay of the land when their deals are up. For Gallows and Anderson, they'll have a far better idea in September about their next 5 years than now." So assuming that Meltzer was speaking to Anderson and Gallows, or was speaking to someone who Anderson and Gallows were speaking to speak to Meltzer, I think what Anderson and Gallows have communicated through their tweet about "don't believe everything you read," and through these comments in the Wrestling Observer, it seems that they were trying to say, not everything about the initial report of them having turned down multi-million-dollar deals is accurate. And if the Wrestling Observer newsletter report is accurate, they don't know what they're going to do. And their current idea is to just wait until September and see what the lay of the land is. See how AEW is doing. See what kind of contracts they're doling out in September versus in March. And another factor that goes into this, however, which could lead one to believe that Anderson and Gallows are leaning towards leaving more than they are staying, is that if they've gotten the best contract offer they think they're going to get at this point, they'd have re-signed. They must be thinking that either in September, we're going to get more money from AEW, or WWE is going to offer us more money in September. But if you're WWE, why don't you offer them that money now? So you know you're locked in. And the 5 years number that's being thrown around is interesting too, as a lot of AEW contracts are for 3 years, but it looks like Anderson and Gallows are requesting or working with 5-year deals. So that plays into it too. Karl Anderson is 39 years old. He's got to be thinking as this contract is perhaps his last big money contract. He'll be 44 when it's up. As for Luke Gallows, he's 35. So if he's taking another 5-year deal, he'll be 40 when it's up. So these are big, important contracts for Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows. And they are taking a bit of a gamble now if they were in fact offered multi-million-dollar extensions and have chosen to wait until September. There's so many things that could happen in 6 months. They could get injured. AEW could go belly up somehow. There's a lot of things that could happen in 6 months, which makes this a risk for Anderson and Gallows. They must feel confident that there's an offer coming in September that they're going to like more than the one WWE apparently, if this is true, put on the table for them recently. But thanks very much for supporting this channel, everybody. Please hit the subscribe button and the like button. Not only will you make sure that you don't miss any more news or reports from Spoiler-Free Wrestling, you'll also help this channel grow and be seen by more people. Thanks again, everyone. I'm the Guy from Spoiler-Free Wrestling.